The year was 1999. Tensions in the Balkans had reached a boiling point. The conflict in Kosovo demanded international attention. NATO prepared to act. Operation Allied Force was initiated. Its aim was to halt the humanitarian crisis unfolding on the ground. Air power was deemed the primary tool. A massive aerial campaign began. The skies over Yugoslavia became a new kind of battlefield. The stakes were incredibly high. Every mission carried immense weight. Operation Allied Force was a complex undertaking. It involved air forces from multiple NATO countries. The objectives were clear. They needed to degrade Serbia's military capabilities. They had to disrupt their command and control structures. A critical component of this strategy was air supremacy. Without control of the skies, the entire operation was at risk. Pilots flew day and night. They faced anti-aircraft fire. They faced surface-to-air missiles. The danger was constant, a shadow that never left their thoughts. A vital part of maintaining this air supremacy was the enforcement of a no-fly zone. This meant that no unauthorized Serbian aircraft were permitted to fly. NATO jets patrolled these restricted skies relentlessly. They were the airborne sentinels. Their presence was a clear message. Violations would not be tolerated. This task fell to fighter pilots. They were the sharp end of the spear. These pilots understood the risks involved. They knew that any blip on their radar could be a threat. The pressure on these aircrews was immense. Each sortie was a journey into hostile territory. The threat of enemy fighters was ever present. Yugoslav MiG-29s, though outnumbered, were still potent adversaries. Their pilots were defending their homeland. They were skilled and determined. For the NATO pilots, every patrol was a test. It was a test of skill. It was a test of nerve. It was a test of their sophisticated machinery against a determined foe. The air war over Serbia was a grim, serious business. Captain Mike Johnson was an American pilot. His call sign was Bull. He was an F-16 Fighting Falcon pilot. He flew with the United States Air Force. Bull was a seasoned aviator. He had spent years honing his skills. He knew his aircraft inside and out. The F-16 was an extension of his own body. He trusted it implicitly. During Operation Allied Force, Bull was stationed at an airbase in Italy. From there, he flew missions over Yugoslavia. He was part of the effort to enforce the no-fly zone. Bull was known for his calm demeanor. He was steady under pressure. Yet beneath the cool exterior was a fierce competitor. He was a man driven by a sense of duty. He understood the gravity of their mission. He believed in what they were doing. But he was not reckless. He was a professional. Every action was calculated. Every decision was weighed carefully. The lives of his wingmen and his own depended on it. He carried the weight of responsibility with quiet strength. His role in Operation Allied Force was clear. He was to fly combat air patrols, or CAPs. These patrols involved loitering over designated areas of Serbian airspace. He had to be ready to intercept any hostile aircraft. He had to protect other NATO assets. These could be bombers or reconnaissance airplanes. Bull and his fellow F-16 pilots were the guardians of the sky. They were the first line of defense against any aerial threat. Their presence was a deterrent. Their readiness was paramount. The tension before each mission was palpable. The pre-flight briefings were somber. The intelligence reports detailed potential threats. Surface-to-air missile sites, enemy airfields, possible MiG activity. Bull would listen intently. He would absorb every detail. Then he would walk to his jet. He would go through his pre-flight checks with meticulous care. Strapping into the cockpit felt like preparing for battle, because that is precisely what it was. Each takeoff was a step into the unknown. The only certainty was the danger that awaited. It was a gray, overcast day. Bull and his wingman, callsign Viper, were on patrol. They were flying high above the rugged Serbian landscape. Below them, clouds obscured much of the ground. Their F-16s sliced through the cold air. The cockpit hummed with the sound of electronics. Bull scanned his radar display. His eyes constantly moved. He checked his instruments. He checked the sky around him. Vigilance was key to survival. Complacency was a killer in this environment. Suddenly, a warning tone blared in Viper's cockpit. A radar lock! Viper's voice crackled over the radio. Bull, I've got a spike! MiG-29, 6 o'clock low! Bull's heart hammered in his chest. Adrenaline surged through him. He snapped his head around. He searched the sky behind his wingman. There, climbing fast, was the unmistakable shape of a fulcrum. A Yugoslav MiG-29. It had appeared out of nowhere. It was already in an advantageous position. The enemy pilot was aggressive. The MiG-29 pilot wasted no time. A missile launch warning shrieked in Viper's ears. Fox 2, Fox 2, missile launch. Viper braking hard left. Viper threw his F-16 into a desperate, high G turn. He deployed chaff and flares. He hoped to decoy the incoming missile. Bull watched in horror. His wingman was in mortal danger. The MiG was a deadly threat. It had achieved surprise. This was the nightmare scenario every pilot dreaded. An ambush. A fight for survival had just begun. Bull reacted instantly. His training took over. There was no time for fear, only for action. Viper, defensive, I'm engaging. Bull pushed his throttle to full afterburner. His F-16 roared. It surged forward. He had to draw the MiG's attention away from Viper. He had to protect his wingman. The Serbian pilot was good. He was aggressive. He was pressing his advantage. Bull knew this would be no easy fight. The sky had suddenly become a very small, very dangerous place for them all. Bull wrenched his F-16 into a climbing turn. He aimed to get on the MiG's tail. The G-forces pressed him hard into his seat. His vision tunneled. He fought to maintain consciousness. The MiG pilot saw Bull coming. The Serbian broke off his attack on Viper. He turned to meet Bull head-on. This was it, a classic dogfight. Two skilled pilots, two deadly machines. Only one could emerge victorious. The stakes could not be higher. Life or death. The two fighters danced a deadly ballet in the sky. They twisted, they turned, they climbed, they dived. Each pilot sought a firing solution. Missiles were launched. Flares and chaff filled the air. The sky was a chaotic canvas of smoke trails and darting aircraft. Bull focused. He anticipated the MiG's moves. He used his F-16's superior maneuverability. He pushed his aircraft to its limits, and he pushed himself beyond them. Sweat streamed down his face. His breath came in ragged gasps. Bull saw his chance. The MiG pilot made a slight error. He overshot a turn. Bull pounced. He lined up his sights. "Fox 2, he yelled. He squeezed the trigger. An AMRAAM missile leapt from his wing. It streaked towards the MiG. The Serbian pilot reacted desperately. He pulled his aircraft into a violent evasive maneuver, but it was too late. The missile found its mark. A bright flash, a bloom of smoke and fire. The MiG-29 began to spiral downwards. It was over. Bull watched the enemy aircraft fall. He felt a mix of emotions, relief, grim satisfaction, but no elation. He quickly checked on Viper. "Viper, you okay?" His wingman's voice, shaken but steady, came back. "Affirmative, Bull. Thanks to you." They turned their F-16S towards home. Bull's actions had saved his wingman. He had upheld the no-fly zone. He had faced death and emerged victorious. His courage and skill were a testament to the pilots who flew in Operation Allied Force. They had done their duty.